Hello, welcome everyone to the Manifest Incredible Love Show. Today I have a very special guest. Her name is Reverend Tracy. Welcome to the show, Reverend Tracy.
Just call me Tracy. It's all good. It's all good. I'm so happy to be here. It's exciting times.
For everyone in the audience, would you go ahead and give us a little bit of your background and what you currently do?
Yeah, maybe how I ended up here, because a lot of people say, how did you end up on this world of energy and spirituality and shifting? So basically, in a quick nutshell, I do write about that I was born really, really sick. I almost died after I was born. I had all these conditions. They didn't know what was wrong with me. And as life progressed, I had a lot of trauma. I went through 3 near-death experiences, a kidnapping. I used to shake like this uncontrollably, and my life was a ball of mess. And so that's really quick. There had lots and lots of trauma, lots of illness, lots of sickness, lots of disease. And when I was in my early 30s, I left a really toxic marriage, and I was told my body was failing, and that was it. Prepare to just live with it, and your body wouldn't last forever. So that was with 2 little kids in tow. I had to find something else. So that was my moment of, I was very much didn't believe in anything. Didn't believe in, universe, divine, God, whatever people want to call it, a higher power. And I was very jaded, as you could imagine by then. Had to go through a lot. So I started doing my own work, and I was led to people that helped me. And miraculously, everything started to shift. My body repaired. My medical people were going, I don't understand. I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it because this is impossible. Many times I heard it's not possible. And it became so that was 19, almost 20 years ago. And it became my life's way. And I lived this, breathed this, which I turned in. I was in corporate. I was in alternative investing. And I said I was selling my soul to the devil as I was really realizing what was happening in that banking industry. And I was getting sick again, and I didn't like it. I wasn't happy, but I was still all in my world of energy and working with people. And I was having so much fun that I was like, well, why am I doing this? And so it was interesting as I stepped out of corporate, and actually the company had dissolved, and I was at this crossroads. And when you're in banking, you make a lot of money. Trust me, So yeah, there were a lot of offers. And I sat on the stairs one day and I said, okay, you know what, Spirit, I'm going to let you take the wheel. I'm going to take a leap of faith. I want to go do what I love. I'm not selling my soul to the devil. I'm done. Like, this is so gross. I can't do it anymore. And I jumped into what I was doing now with the communities, working with people around the world. And I've never looked back, and Spirit's provided. And my whole life is, I feel very blessed every day, because I know what it's like to get up out of bed and not want to get out of bed.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. That's very powerful, because as you were speaking, I just remembered my own, and this happened just in December too. The separation from money being the biggest driver of life was from my parents, because they grew up in the survival state of, we need to make money to survive. And it was always this scarcity mindset of, you need money, you need status in order to be happy, in order to have some sort of place in this world. And I had a falling out with my mom. She was like, you won't get an inheritance because you won't do anything for me. But I'll still give you $100,000, the same that I gave to your sisters, to start your life, to buy a house. And I told her, I don't want it. You can keep your money. I don't want it. And that was the moment, the biggest moment that shifted for me, because I was always searching for something else that connected me to a purpose. And yet that old part of me, that the love that I wanted from my parents was always like, it had to be money, was always striving for money. It was always trying to figure a way to combine heart with money, but money was always the forefront. And I just said, no, I don't want it. I don't want to marry for money. I don't want your money. I don't want any relationships based on solely money. Mm-hmm. And I started finding my community of heart-based leaders. And I was like, what is this? The world just opened up. I was like, what is this? I was so surprised. Now for you, like, as you were going through this experience, what was your first encounter with spirituality? Like, what point in your life did you say there's something more out there and something clicked for you?
Well, I'm a little bit different in the sense of when I was little, I was extremely empathic. I didn't know what it was. And when I was 5, I was kidnapped. I had a gun to my head. And when that happened and I passed out, I'd opened a porthole. So after that incident, I actually started seeing things, and I actually had physical energetic experiences, which in my room, and I just thought it was crazy. And people back then, people are like, oh, you're just having some whatever trauma. There was no understanding back then, right? So eventually I would start to shut it off, and it would keep coming back. I shut it off, it would keep coming back. It's interesting because the more I was in the heavy, depressed, dark, I was left alone. So then I was like, okay, I'm just really sick. I'll focus on my sicknesses. And then when I decided to, probably about 3 years before I left my marriage, and I would probably say right when my second daughter was born, because I just about died having her as well. It was pretty traumatic. I knew at that point, I was like, this isn't life. I was sitting there dying again after this insane birth. It looked like, war had taken in this room, and they were trying to get me to pumping me with adrenaline, like, stay with me, like, don't die. This whole scenario was so crazy. And I was in the recovery room, and the lady asked me if I was a single mom. And I'm like, no, because my husband at the time, he just left. He's like, I thought you were going to die. So he left, yeah, he leaves. And no one was listening to me. I was bleeding out. It was after they'd tried I'd already lost all this blood and this C-section, and there's blood on the ceiling. Like, I had a really rare condition carrying my second daughter. So I was bedridden, and I had what they call venous engorgement. So it was head to toe though. I looked like I had piles of grapes all over my body. I couldn't stand. And, but when they wheeled me up, I was like, this isn't life. I'd rather die. This is not life. And so it was a very heavy time. And as I started to recover from her within about a year of her being born, I started questioning. And I just on my own, I was like, is there more? Is there more? And all of a sudden, those bad things, as I was questioning, started to surface, and I would see them, and I'd see them in the room. I'd see them at night. I'd wake up with handprints on me, like stuff, like it was crazy. Interactions. And so these encounters got stronger and stronger. And so probably about 3 years before I fully left the marriage, I called it my closet spiritual. I would pull something from Wayne Dyer. I'm like, what's this? And I was like, there is more. But I was so sick, and I was so depressed, and I was still in the corporate world. I had two worlds, right? I had oh, here I am doing my thing. And then here was I'm like literally falling apart. I was 2 pounds. I couldn't eat anything. And so I just kept questioning and questioning. And the more I questioned, the more these energies came up. And I actually thought, oh, I'll go to a meditation group. Maybe that's what I need to quiet my brain. Because it was hard. People would ask me if I was having seizures. Like, I would walk down the street like this. Like, I was so stressed. My whole nervous system was shot since birth. And they would be like, are you okay? Are you having a seizure? What's wrong? I'm like, it's okay. It's just a nerve disorder. And I had probably 5, 6 neurologists just tell me, live with it. You're going to be fine. Like, it's just, I'm like, live with it. I'm in so much pain. So I was led to a woman, in this meditation didn't resonate with me, because meditation is fine for people, but high functioning people can be too slow, and people don't talk about that, right? Because yeah, we need to function with spirit, like walking down the street, not, oh, wait, I got to go ask spirit a question. Let me just meditate in the middle of the street. So high functioning empaths, most of us we won't meditate the way people shame us to sometimes. And she became my mentor. She's not here today, but she put together the pieces, and I realized, one, I wasn't crazy. And all of a sudden, because I was such a big feeler my whole life, I was able to learn how to control what I was feeling. My physical ailments went away. I would see things. So now I go in and out of hearing, seeing, and feeling, and into the body. And because I was so sick, my body was what I was like, well, what's the body telling me? What's the body telling me? So now that's what I say to people is, we have the God, universe, divine energy, we have Mother Earth, but what's our conduit of intuition is our body, and everything is always telling you. So through healing my own self, I became very in tune with the whole structure of the body and how we can use that to create and manifest. And Like, for example, people don't know when your power zone, which is your reproductive, that's our creation manifesting area with our heart drive, because that's children, your career, right? Your creation energy, it comes from your power zone and it fuels through the heart and your intuition. And so it was, yeah, it was my own test subject through trauma and pain and suffering. And that was from basically conception to 32. Yeah. And then I started to learn. It was a long road. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. And when you say like healing yourself, what does that look like for you? Because a lot of people don't really know what that means. We think about healing in the more medical terms, like taking medications, and meditation could be one. Like when you say healing, like I jumped to that. But what other aspects of healing did you perform for yourself?
So a lot of people, if you take medicine too long, so your organs are all living, right? They're all living, or they wouldn't function. And we need all our organs. So for example, if you have diabetes and you take medicine for too long, then the pancreas forgets how to work and it will rely on the medicine. So a lot of people think it's just medicine. I'm not anti-medicine. There is a place and time for medicine. However, healing your body, healing your life, healing your soul, healing your spirit means looking at patterns, imprints, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, and psychically, just to name a few, and they all work together. So we have our energy inside our body and our energy outside. So when you start to remove patterns and belief systems, similar to what you said to your mom, like, I'm not going to go there, you would be surprised, even moving people, places, and things out of your life. That takes strength, right? That's mental. It's going, I'm good enough. I don't need that in my life. You would be surprised. 99.9% of our physical issues are emotional, and people forget that. And so when we heal that emotional body, so for example, pancreas is your joy of life. So most people that have diabetes and are eating a lot of food and things that aren't good for them, joy in some area of life we've noticed has been sucked out of them. And then there's control issues. They're being controlled, or somebody else is controlling them, or they're controlling themselves. And most of the people, when we start to move this out of their world, most of them end up going off their medicine. They don't need it for the rest of their life. So there's all these patterns that come in. And when the body starts to communicate with your spirit guides, however that is, it's with the universal energy source, you come into alignment and things leave. And you can also avert getting sick later in life. And then when you don't have those things, because sickness in the body is a distraction from creation and manifesting, right? Because you're focused on the sickness versus when you don't have that, what are you focusing on? You're focusing on creating good communities. You're creating more joy in your life and manifesting things that can be experiences. Like back to what we were saying with money.
Yes.
Don't worry about what you're not going to think did you buy that extra purse or shoes? No, all your experiences are what you're going to take with you. And those don't involve just money at all.
That's very powerful. You mentioned this because all of the self-healing that I've been going through, and I support other people with that, with like, it starts logically at first. Like, why are you doing this, right? Like, why are you chasing money? What's the purpose? And as I got deeper and deeper and deeper into it, I was like, why am I sacrificing 40 hours of my life for a certain amount of money? And it was like, I wanted freedom, I wanted certain things, but is that the true path? And so it was like reverse engineering all these thought processes that I first had about what was truly important. And it did take a span of like 3 years from when I first started my entrepreneurial journey until now to realize the core was so connected to my heart center. I wanted somebody to love me, and I thought my family would be the ones to love me. And
So
I
that's
was,
their language of love, right? Their
yeah,
language of love is money. They don't know how to love here. And so the cool thing, I don't know if anyone's told you this, the thing I love about you that you see is you came and you're doing it to break that pattern in the family. So you came to clean out that family energy So you're breaking the chain. So you came to clean it out because you're strong enough and saying, wait a minute, money is a tool, but I want to create from heart and create relationships and experiences of love and kindness and make the world a better place. We have to use money while we're here because it's our tool. But with that, good people, when we all make good money, we do good things with it. So yeah, maybe you have a house or car, but your drive isn't, you don't need a 20,000 square foot house. It's like, well, how can I go and build better communities? How can I build healthier communities? How can we make sure everybody has something? And that's the shift that's happening right now in the universe and on this planet, is to change the power from where the money, because when you went to school, what is it? It's get a job, get educated, get more degrees. You need to then get married and you get a house and be the doctor, be the lawyer and make all that money and you're good. And then awakened souls like us go, oh, we reject the school system. We're like, we go from job to job. You're going to go, I don't want to be, because we're rejecting it because we know it's not in alignment for what our mission is here. You did it. You're breaking the line. Well done.
Yay. One of the things that was like really important to me was reconnecting to the heart. So like for everybody who is out there seeking, well, first for me, it was like seeking outside of myself, seeking relationships first as a form of love. And that's why the show is about how to create more fulfilling relationships. What would be some of the best ways that people can reconnect to their heart so that they can create more fulfilling relationships in their life?
Yeah, one of the things that I always say, I have a little simple tool I'll share with you guys that is easy to do. So you have to understand that in the way our systems work, similar to money, we're think, right? So in school, what's the answer? What's the answer? We're not really taught to feel. So what we want to do is get right from head and drop into the heart. I call it the heart drive because like your computer, if you need your heart, or your body's not working, you're done, right? So our heart stops, we're done. So it's our hard drive, just like your computer, right? If you lose your hard drive on your computer, it's kaput. So for people to understand this information is coming. So one of the things I say to people, if you start to get more in the head and more thinking, how should I do this? You're now also grasping patterns from old relationships that you've seen. So maybe your parents, maybe your past relationship. So I always say to tap the heart, and I say, thank you, God. It's universe, divine love, whatever you want. But thank you, universe, reset, let go. Thank you, God, release, let go. Anything like that a couple of times to pull the energy that's stuck out of the body, out of the heart. And then if you actually hold into the heart drive, there's a space where you can start tuning in and then say, okay, what kind of relationship do I really want? And this is actually when you ask about what kind of relationship you want. Okay, that's nice. But tune into the heart and now say, do you have that already within you? If you don't have that already within you, now you know what patterns you have to start to pull out. So if you say you want somebody that's very nurturing, how nurturing are you to yourself? And this comes from heart. So, if you say you want someone that notices you and respects your boundaries, how good are you at respecting yourself and your boundaries? How good are you at shining all of who you are? Are you still playing small? So when we want to bring those partners in, we want to look inside our heart too and activate the heart drive and strengthen the activation in the heart drive to be able to bring those frequencies. So the more you have it within you, the stronger the frequency is, the more you're going to draw that person, place, or thing to you at a faster rate. And we are in a year of mass manifestation, everyone. So you may as well jump on the train. It is getting instant. So careful what's going on in here. Yeah.
I love that you word it in such a way that's understandable, because I give through personal examples, and that's how other people kind of understand what's happening. So as I was like going through my personal experience, and it happened exactly the way you said it, like it was a mirroring of myself. Everything that I sought outside of myself that I wanted in somebody else, they mirrored back to me something that I already had within me, but I couldn't see it. Like leadership and that very nurturing energy of giving love, even though I was so nice, giving love to a lot of people, and I didn't get that in return, or just expectations of what I thought that was supposed to look like, I felt very disappointed, and I felt like I'm not loved. I'm not loved. And as I saw other people in that space who are giving in a way that they're receiving energetically back, I was like, what are they doing that I can do for myself? And I started to say, well, they're taking care of themselves, and they're telling themselves that they're beautiful, that they're worthy, that they're already loved. And I saw myself in a state of lack, and I shifted that. I went to the gym and I was like, I am beautiful. And I would go to these meetings, and it was a support group where people recognize each other. And I would say, yes, I am powerful. Like, I am doing very well for myself. And from breaking away from what I grew up in, which was a household that was very criticizing, that the school you went to is not good enough, the job that you have is not making enough money, the person that you married is doesn't come from a very good family, so therefore I wasn't enough. And I was always seeking, doing, working myself to death. And then I realized, like, why do I still feel empty, even though I keep getting these accomplishments and nobody's looking my way? And even if somebody looked my way, I would be like, oh my God, no, like, that's not true.
Because it's not enough, because growing up, the pattern for people listening, right? When the pattern is repetitive, it's not enough. So then you go into a state, and you know, that's what people listening, you go into this state of, well, no matter, you could accomplish, you could have $1 billion in your bank, and you could have every degree on the wall, and you could have whatever you want, but you'll still feel empty inside. And I know I went through that. I sold my first company at 26 to a publicly traded company, and people are like, oh, must be so great, you have all this money. And I'm like, you have no idea, I'm dying inside. They're like, what? How? Look at where you live. Look, I'm like, no, I'm literally dying inside. Like, they couldn't get it. I'm like, I don't care how much money. I said, I'm dying inside. This money does not fix your problem. And so, yeah, when you start to, those are right. I'm not worthy enough. I'm not good enough. Or my family would come in and go, must be nice to have all this at this age. And then I would feel horrible. So I found a creative way to get rid of it. You know, I was like, because you feel horrible. But when these imprints are there, and then you realize, wait a minute, you guys are just programming me not to be enough, because again, through generations, we're getting better. But imagine if all of the families are, good job, what do you want to do? Excellent, well done, go get that, you know. And you want to start a business? Amazing, go start a business. Not, why would you do that? You know, look how many families do that. Well, you're not going to make any money at that, why would you do that? And but you flip the energy, go do it, go live your dreams. And all of a sudden there's a little bit of encouragement, and it's like, yeah, it's okay, there's no such thing as failure. I've worked with billionaires who I've said to them, and they all have the same question or the same answer. I'll say, what's your view on failure? I want to know. And they're like, there's no failure. I just look at it as, oh, that's something I can change. And imagine if we taught that to every person on the planet. There's no such thing as failure. It's just an opportunity to change and make us better. Right there alone, people would become happier here. And then we encourage each other. Now you're encouraging your romantic partners. Now you're encouraging your friends. Now you're not having jealousy and envy, because everybody's creating together. We're not separate. We're creating together. And then the relationships are manifesting at a higher vibration, whether it's work, romance, you know, family. And that's where we're shifting to now. That's that space. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And I reflect back on the dysfunctional relationship that I had with my family versus the relationship that I have right now with my husband and his family. Their willingness to take care of my son, he's 8 months, while I'm on Zoom calls. Before, I would feel like, oh no, I have to be responsible. I have to take care of him all by myself, and feel all this overwhelm. And it's shifting from community. Like, what's really important? It's nurturing yourself, nurturing the people around you, because you know that the bigger vision is something outside of yourself. It can be much greater when we lend support rather than take away from that support. And I see that very often in romantic relationships too, where it's restriction. Like my one of my family members, she'll say, my husband doesn't let me do this and he doesn't let me do that. And he says I can't wear nice clothes. I can't go out. I have to text him. And I look at my relationship with my husband and he lets me wear whatever I want. He lets me, it's not even letting me. It's just like
He respects
am
who you are.
free. Yeah, he respects me enough that, and he knows that I have integrity, where my values are. And it's important to me that I have self expression through my clothes, that I have self expression through my career, that I have self expression in other areas of my life, and it's not limiting. And through that, I was able to make my own mistakes, as everybody makes mistakes. But at the same time, I'm vibrant. I'm more vibrant than when I first came from a very restrictive environment.
Because you're meant to be free. And in relationships, what happens a lot of times is, I say it's like we come together in relationships, and where they go sideways is we bring our imprints and we bring our baggage with us. And that's where we think, well, we're working through it to heal or whatever it might be energetically. But it's kind of like if I said to you, I'm going to make you, I'm going to make you the manager over here. And then you ask me, well, what do you expect of me? Oh my God, we'll just go do it. And then you do it. And I come back at you and go, what are you doing? Why are you doing it that way? It shouldn't be that way. And this is how we act in relationships. We don't have communication set up because we're not taught it. And if we were, then the heart could let go more, where there's the safety of, well, this is kind of what I would like my role to be in this relationship and your role, and everybody agrees, and off you go, and you keep communicating about it and resetting, right? From who's taking out the garbage. And it sounds funny, but if people would have these conversations, it's amazing how much the heart will open, and then the bodies feel safer, and then the expectations drop off. And that's why there ends up so much betrayal and anger in relationships, because there's so many expectations and nobody's talking about them. And then it gets into the heart. And that's why men have so many heart attacks, because they actually get heartbreak and heartache, and it goes into their heart. And that's why women have so many problems in the reproductive area. So it goes to the reproductive for women, and the heart for men, all this relationship energy that people are saying, well, I'm not being seen, or I'm not being heard, or I'm not allowed to be who I am. There's no communication. There's just unspoken. And we pick up what people aren't saying, and then bodies react, and then we get physical issues. Yeah.
You mentioned like the reproductive area, which is like very important for women, because that's also like the sacral area. This is like sexual energy, but also life force energy. I studied human design, so they call it life force energy, but I see this as being able to just be fully expressed and be able to do and live life freely. From your standpoint, like what exactly is that type of energy that causes the reproductive system not to function properly?
Yeah, it makes the reproductive shut down. Well, I always teach this, and people kind of get a little creeped out. I said women are kind of the male dumping ground too. So if we're not like, right, the way the energy goes and the way the ejaculation goes, we take on all their stuff. So everything emotionally, physically in their body can come into our bodies too. But this whole area is it's so powerful. Like I said, it creates. So when people are telling you, if you don't feel good about your body, it's going to go there. If you're having any kind of sexual trauma, and that can be everything from something that's simple to something great deal, that also shuts down that area. That's why there's so many sexual traumas, is because it's a darker energy to shut down that. Because when it's not shut down, you're creating, manifesting, loving. There's all this energy moving, this power that's coming through the system in creation, this feminine energy that both, we all have male, female energy, but it starts to rise up through the productive area. So you can see, it doesn't take rocket science to start to think of how many areas do we enter in that shut down our reproductive? How many areas do we feel shamed? We don't look at how much, and even in the sexual conversation, people shame a lot of people on that, or there's a lot of expectations, or just with that partner or with self or whatever that might be. And so any kind of trauma, any kind of abuse, even verbal abuse will go to, and physical will end up in the reproductive and the colon rectum anus, and they talk, right? So that's the letting go and the power zone. So we poo because we're letting go. the
Yeah.
reproductive area is the power zone of this beautiful creation energy coming through the heart. So any kind of targeting to that area shuts it down. And if it's not cleaned up, you get cysts, you get fibroids, you get cancers, you get colon cancers. All of these things are from abuse, trauma, and control placed upon another person. And then we take it as true, and then it builds up into the body.
This just like lit up a little light bulb for me, and I want to run to my family member and, and tell her about this, because she's been telling me she's experienced a lot of like urinary tract infections, and then her husband also experiences like cold sores around the mouth, and they're always coming across some type of like medical some medical issues that it, and I'm just like, why does that happen, right? Because we come from the same family, we have very healthy family members, so why is she the only one that experiences these problems? And that just lit something, it just lit up something like, oh wait.
Even urinary tract infections, a basic nutshell is you got a lot of things that you're really pissy, literally pissy about. There's a lot of disrespect or things that, and it can be about yourself. It can be about something else. It's irritating you inside, and it needs to get out. And so a lot of people think, oh, it's just bacteria. And then there can be also connections between the partners. If one is letting go of something, then the female partner will clean out the male partner really quickly. And women don't realize that. I'm like, yeah, they're like, oh, I take on all of that. And I said, yeah, because even their cell structure, if they are ejaculating, you get their cell structure for 7 years in your body. So if you don't know how to clean it out, and they've proven that scientifically. So imagine women are literally, we are cleaning out all the time. And I don't mean that like people's like, oh, but that's, I said, you know what? It's just the way we are. Our bodies are meant, we know how to deal with it. But if we were taught, we wouldn't have all these problems. Yeah.
Oh my God, that just connected so many dots.
Well, the body is brilliant. I'm telling you, it has so much information to share. And if we learn this as children, which I know we're going to be teaching stuff to children, and if we did teach it to kids, and that's why we're so passionate to teach this to children, we would avoid so many problems, and they would love themselves. So they wouldn't get into half of this stuff, and they would make these choices as little people. And then their intuition would be, they wouldn't feel bad about using their intuition and, running with everything they know Spirit's telling them. Yeah.
Wow. This conversation actually brought up something recently that I was speaking to a friend about. She told me, she was like, I'm at this point in my life where I don't want sexual partners just to have sex with them. Like, I want to choose celibacy until I meet somebody like that I consider worthy of my time. And that lit me up, because I come from like the millennial generation where we're still young, like exploring. A lot of my friends are still exploring, and it's always about like, oh, I just want somebody as a companion, I just want sex. And now it's not about that, it's more of a deeper connection. And as I'm speaking through my own journey to her, I said, sex is meaningful, that people can transfer their energy, and we're just learning about like what energy really is and how to shift your vibration, and how everything around you starts to change as you shift your vibration, setting these boundaries. And she's like, yeah, I don't want that. Like, I don't want that. I don't want to carry other people's trauma and
you
anything
will.
like that.
You will. And I see it. And then you got to move out the imprints. I see it over and over. I say to people, be very discerning, because you can actually transfer imprints just through having random sex with people. And I've seen it where energies can attach onto you. If that is just a random that's not good for you, they can come to attach onto you. And then you wonder why your life's going sideways all of a sudden. Like, people don't understand. If they saw what I saw on people, they would be very discerning who and what they allow in that space. Because with the right person, and when we're with the right person, it's empowering. You guys become power couples in a sense of being able to create your dreams and visions very quickly. And so through that energy, and I've seen this where I've really strong couples, I have them make a list of things they want to create and manifest. And I said, you put the list by your bed. So when you're in that energy, and 99% of them come back and say, oh my God, look at how fast we created everything on our list. that we wanted to bring in our life.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. But it can take away if you're with randoms that just dump stuff on you and it doesn't have that, it can take away from your life as well. So positive, negative energy. So it's hard for people to wrap their head around, but it's true. So it doesn't mean you wait only for the person maybe you're marrying, but maybe you have a longer term relationship with somebody that is very connected and very loving, and then that's okay. But as soon as things turn, you got to be very mindful. Your body will pick all of it up, all of it.
Do you have suggestions on like cleansing the body afterwards?
Yeah, well, I do say to people simply, so salt baths are really important. Salt baths are really important. They will cleanse and clean up the body. So don't mix them with baking soda or with Epsom salt. You do them separately. They have different reasons. Salt baths are really good. I do say to people too, you can actually, I teach people how to command the body. So strengthening the whole reproductive, and you kind of move your hand to remove the accumulation of energy that is no longer needed to be there. I also recommend people, if you've had these encounters, sounds a little funny, but if you have a bowl with those little charcoal pucks and you can put frankincense on them and stand over it. You can use sage if people like sage on the bowl, but stand over it, like straddle it, and ask it to just release any energies. And you pull your hand up like this while you do it, because the more you do it, it'll command the body to release the energies. And when you get to the heart, you just pull them back into the earth. So you pull it up and then you pull it down. Those are simple ways to start to move out energy if you've had these experiences. So most spiritual stores that sell incense will sell the little charcoal pucks and frankincense, or sage as well. Just make sure you have a good bowl so you don't burn through the bottom of something, because they get really hot. But those are simple
Ceramic bowl, right?
Yeah, a ceramic bowl, always.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
It
And
helps.
since we are coming up to our wrap,
Yeah.
could you give us like three tips that we can take home with us today that we can start implementing in our lives just right now, of how to shift more into our heart space?
More into your heart space. So one is the simple tool. I have it on the YouTube, but you can just thank you, universe, divine God, whatever you like to say, release, let go. It'll get you out of your head and into your heart. So that one is one of my favorite ones. The other one I say to people, when you're going through something a little bit challenging, but always place your hand on your heart when you ask yourself these questions, because you're activating the heart. You can rub it. That's what, monks and stuff did in the old days. They got it down pat. You can rub it to activate it. Or tap just to activate it. Ask yourself, what is really good about this I'm not getting? What is really good about this situation I'm not getting? Then you'll start to see the answer, which will empower the heart. So you'll make choices and decisions on things that are good for you. The other thing, especially if you're wanting to create really good relationships, this one's kind of fun. When you see something that someone has that you would like, so maybe you see a beautiful relationship. You might be watching a show and say, I really want that relationship. Or you're like, I would really like that energy that I see in that person. I would like to take more of that energy in my body. Then what you say is you're like, thank spirit. You always got to thank the spirit up there. So I just say, thank you, God. I want to take that. I am taking that. I'm bringing that into my system. See how I go to my heart? Mm-hmm. I'm taking that and bringing it into my system. And when you start to do more of that, and you can do this with anything you want to create, if there's, I don't know, whatever you want to create, when you see it, I'm taking that in. And if it's even something you have in your mind's eye and you go and you've pulled it out and you can see it and you can visualize it, then you physically say, thank you, universe. Thank you, divine. Thank you, spirit. Thank you, God. I'm taking that. I'm bringing that into my heart. And the more you do that, the energy gets quicker into alignment with you. The heart opens more, and watch how quickly things start to show up. It's easy. You can do it down the street.
Thank you so much. And for everybody watching, I know you have a little special something for them. Would you like to share that with us?
Yeah, so I believe you do have the heart tool. And this one is actually, I would encourage you to go watch it. And the reason I would encourage you to go watch it is I will explain it a little bit more in detail. It won't be as fast. And if you watch it, so the key with me is when I move my hands and I use my voice. That's how I start to shift the energy. So every time I'm talking, my hands are moving because I'm collapsing energy or moving energy. It's just the way I am. So when you watch it, you'll be able to get more of that energy within you and you'll be able to shift quicker. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Well, I just want to express my gratitude and appreciation for this amazing interview. And for everybody else who is watching, please stay with us throughout the duration of the show. We have so many more amazing interviews coming your way. And thank you so much, Tracy, for joining us today.
Thank you so much.